Hello everyone, we are back on the series of Navgrah, the last two shadow planets it is, and that is Rahu and Ketu. Okay, so what is Rahu and Ketu? Basically, Rahu and Ketu are two nodes of. See, let's talk about the story of Rahu and Ketu afterwards. Let's understand what is Rahu and Ketu. Okay, so this is the sun. Earth rotates around the sun. Okay, and this is the earth. Now, moon rotates around the earth. Okay, so when moon, the point of intersection of moon from sun to earth, exit between the sun and earth, is Ketu, and exact opposite point to that is Rahu. Okay, so let's take one example. This is earth. Okay, and I am the sun. Okay, I am the sun, this is the earth. Okay, and this is the moon. Okay, let's reverse it. This is the earth, I am the sun, and this is the moon. Okay, the moon is circulating, rotating around the earth. So when this moon is exactly between me and earth, the point of intersection of the rotating axis of the moon is called Ketu, and the opposite side, when sun is when earth is eclipsing the moon itself, that point is Rahu. So if you see at this point, you can't see sun because earth is in between. So Rahu eats sun. Similarly, at this point, Ketu eats moon. Okay. So that is why when in any horoscope we use sun to push down Rahu and Rahu to push down sun, and we use Ketu to push down moon and moon to push down Ketu. Rahu સૂર્યને ખાય છે, કેતુ ચંદ્રને ખાય છે. Okay. Rahu is represented somewhat like Saturn, and Ketu is represented somewhat like Mars. Okay, because there is also this tattva science behind it. Okay, tattva gnana, because Rahu's effect on the colder side is more, and Saturn is more cold aspect. That is why Rahu goes somewhat connected with Saturn, and Mars is hot. Okay, it is on the fire element side, and similarly Ketu is on the warmer side. That's why Ketu is towards Mars. Okay, so this was the astrophysical connection between the Rahu and Ketu, that these are two nodes, the two elliptical nodes from where there is solar and lunar eclipse taking place. Okay. So that is why we call them Chandra Grahan and Surya Grahan. Okay. Chandra ne grahan karo, grahan is khao. Surya ne grahan karo, that is khao. Okay. So basically, as I said, that all our Vedas and scriptures are kind of biased towards Jupiter. So it is shown that Chandra Grahan and Surya Grahan is not a good thing. Okay. Yes, it is not a good thing for people who are born in Manav Gana and Dev Gana. But people who are born in Rakshas Gana, Chandra Grahan and Surya Grahan are very good things. Okay. That is the time when you take Grahan of Surya and Chandra's energy. If you are a Rakshas Gana, if you are a Dev Gana, at that time you stay away from the energy of sun and moon. Okay. And if you are Manav Gana, okay, at that time just observe fast. Okay, just do fast, nothing else. See, because it is very much necessary to understand that our ancient Vedas are written giving preference and priority to the Devas, to Jupiter and Mercury more than anything else. Okay, so that is why it is said that apart from Rigved, Samved, Yajurved and Atharvaved, the fifth Veda is all the Shastras and Upanishads. Because when you understand the four Vedas, you will be understanding everything, but everything is partial towards the Devas. But the nature has made everything equal. You don't have to be partial towards Devas or Asuras. You have to balance both the things. Okay, you don't have to increase this Deva element inside you. Okay, if you totally want to be a Sattvic person, it is not right for you. Okay, see, this is a very wrong myth. I am here to destroy every myth. I am here to destroy all the bad things. Okay, so whatever you consider it, but just think over what I am saying with a practical and a logical point of view. Okay. See, even in Bhagavad Gita, the 12th chapter, I guess, it is explained with three gunas: Sattvic or Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Okay. And nowhere in Bhagavad Gita it is written that you have to follow the Sattva guna. Nowhere. I have translated a complete Bhagavad Gita myself. You will find it online anywhere. Okay, Amazon, Flipkart, anywhere. Show me one line where the Bhagavad Gita orders you that you have to transform yourself to a sattvic person. Okay? It is never written anywhere like that. Yes, it has given distinctions of sattva guna, rajas guna and tamas guna. And at that point, it is given that when you attain sattva gunas, you become a karma yogi. That is right. It is written over there that when you attain all the sattva gunas, you become a karma yogi. But it is not everyone's fate to be a karma yogi. It is not right for everyone to be a karma yogi. That is why it is nowhere mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that you have to attain all the sattva gun and you have to leave all the rajas and tamas guns. It is just said that to reach the sattva gun, you have to cross the tamas and the rajas gun. Getting my point? Who was Krishna? Krishna was the avatar of Vishnu. What does Vishnu want? Vishnu is the Dev side. Okay, he is on the side of Devas. So he has explained things in a manner that there are three stages: Tamas, Rajas and Sattva. And for nature, it is equally necessary that on all the three stages, okay, this Tamas stair, Rajas stair and Sattva stair, there are different people. He has never said that you leave all the tamas gun, rajas gun and go and attend the sattvic gun. No. He has explained Arjun that be a karma yogi, and to be a karma yogi you have to attain all the sattva guns. So it was strictly for Arjun and strictly in the situation and circumstances where he was in life. Okay. Now if you see all the Vedas and Shastras, see, all the three gunas are adjusted among all the 12 zodiacs. So let's say from Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius and Capricorn, it is tamas gun. From half of the Capricorn to Pisces, Aries, Taurus and Gemini is sattva gun. From half of Gemini to Cancer, Leo, Virgo is rajas gun. So in the cycle of nature, every guna is equally important. To be a perfect human, to be a perfect person in the world, you have to attain all the three gunas in yourself. Okay? Only a biased person is going to say that go live all the tamasic gun, go live all the rajasic gun and go just be on the sattvic side. Which is a very false statement. Which is a very, very false statement. Because in order to survive, in order to gain complete knowledge, in order to gain complete freedom, in order to gain your complete true self, you have to attain all the three gunas and distribute it in your life in a distinctive manner. Okay. So, what is tamasic gun? Tamasic gun is about all the bad things. Okay, it's about, see, all the drugs come in tamasic gun, right? Similarly, all the medicines are also a kind of drugs. So Mars in the Tamas Nakshatra also represents drugs of medicines and also represents drugs of psychedelics. Similarly, what else is tamasic? Lust, anger, rage, destruction. Okay, so do you think that you don't need lust in your life? No, you do need lust in your life. Don't you think you don't need anger in your life? You do need anger in your life. There is an equal need for every guna in your life. Okay. And I am going to break all the barriers when I am giving you knowledge, because I am not at all biased. Okay. I am giving you rightful knowledge. So there is no point of dealing with me by being biased. Okay, that see, it is said that oh, God is this, oh, God is that, and God is this. See, everything is a personification of the true knowledge, and you don't have to be biased towards any God. Okay, the God of Tamas Gun is Lord Shiva, Rudra. Rudra is the God of all the Tamas Gun. Okay, there was a very big debate that one Rishi said to Lord Shiva that you are breaking all the rules of Vedas. Still you are so great in the eyes of Vishnu. How? So Shiva is also made with all the tamasic guns. Still he is the favorite of Vishnu. How? Okay. Because he has understood that the tamas gun is equally important as the sattva gun. Okay. See, until and unless you have lust in your life, your physical compatibility the need of the physical body, the biological body is going to decrease. Okay, and our bodily hormones need equal strength. Okay, so everybody don't have to be a sannyasi. Everybody has to live a life. What is the basic nature of, what is the role of basic nature? Okay, see, if you see a dog, if you see a butterfly, if you see a cat, if you see a lion, if you see a simple, if you see a flower, there is cross-pollination in flowers also. There is sex. The rule of sex is everywhere. You don't have to teach sex to anyone. No to plants, no to animals, no to humans. So do you think this need of sex, the need of lust is a bad thing? No, not at all. It is a needed thing. Okay, so lust has its own place in life. That is why Kamdev is a Dev. Let's say anger. Whenever you want to break a bad pattern in your life, you need anger. A useless anger is unworthy, but a fruitful anger is more worthy than a useless peace. Okay, this is my own quote. Understand this. A fruitful anger is more worthy than a useless peace. See, if you want to peel a pea, okay, green pea, if you want to peel a green pea, you need to use softness. Okay, you use your soft hands and then you peel the green pea. What happens when you need to break that akhrot, walnut? Okay, you have to use your strength. You have to use that anger. That softness is not going to break that walnut. Getting my point? So you need to have that anger at some portion of your life. Okay, you sometimes need to be angry on yourself in order to get acceptance that you made a mistake. Be angry on you sometimes. That is how the change is going to come. Okay, so similarly, all the tamasic guns are equally necessary as all the sattvic guns. If the person attains all the sattvic guns and removes all the rajasic and tamasic guns, he would become a sadhu. And do you think the world is made just for sadhu? Imagine a world where everyone is a sadhu. Everyone. You go open your house and you see everyone is a sadhu. Okay, you see everyone is a sadhu. Is that world worthy? Is that world a worthy place to live? Not at all. Okay, so it is a very big myth that you have to go towards the sattvic gunas. No. You have to balance all the three gunas. All three gunas are equally necessary. Let's see the Rajasic guna. The Rajasic guna allows you to take meat. Come on. The nature has given me the teeth to eat meat. Is the nature wrong? No. See, Kshatriyas need to fight war, need to do exercise, they do bodybuilding. Okay, all these things are the nature of Kshatriyas. That's why Kshatriyas are given a place in Rajasic Tattva. Okay, they are in the Rajasic gunas and they need to eat meat because they need that bulk energy. Okay, so it is rightful for a Kshatriya to eat meat. Why? Because his body is capable to digest meat. We are basically omnivorous people. The nature has made us omnivorous. Why can't we bloody eat meat? Yes, it is said that if you eat meat, your Jupiter or the Guru will not like it because Guru is at the Sattvic star. Guru is not the Lord of Rajasic Gun. Who is the Lord of Rajasic Gun? Mars. And Mars is going to get more energy when you eat meat. Okay. So, a person with Rajasic Guna can eat meat because the basic dharma of that person is to increase Martian characteristics. Okay. Similarly, a person with Sattvic guna has to increase Jupiter, and that's why he has to leave meat, because his basic dharma is to increase the Jupiter. Okay. Let's talk about Tamasic people. The Tamasic people can easily sustain and eat fermented food. Okay. They can eat food which is left over for 2 days. That is the attribute of a Tamasic person. So they need to increase the Venusian characteristics. That's why they can eat that thing. Okay, they can eat mushrooms. They should eat mushrooms, I would say. Why shouldn't they? So, first of all, remove that thing from your mind that you just have to attain Sattvic guns. No, dude. Don't be biased towards devas. In order to be a perfect person, okay, understand the Nyaya Sutras of Gautam Rishi. In order to be a perfect person, okay, you need to keep an equilibrium between the Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic gunas. All the 3 gunas should be in equilibrium, okay, which means you should have equal amount of Sattvic gun inside you, you should have equal amount of Tamasic gun inside you, and you should have equal amount of Rajasic gun inside you, and you should always know when to use what. Getting my point? And I am doing all this lecture because I am here to tell you that Rahu and Ketu, being the shadow planets, are just not a bad planets. They might be good and bad from people to people. Okay, everything depends upon your own chart. Everything depends upon which gana you are in. Everything depends upon the placement of Rahu and Ketu. Everything depends upon your tattva. Okay. So, in order to understand Rahu and Ketu equally, you need to remove that thing from your mind. The biasness of towards Jupiter. Okay, remove the biasness towards Jupiter. 3 things are equally necessary in your life: Jupiter, Mars and Venus. You have to give equal preference to all the 3. You don't have to give more preference to Jupiter. No, not at all. Why should you give? Nobody deserves more preference. Every planet needs to be balanced. Okay. Don't find a way to increase one of your planet and decrease another planet. No, not at all. We are again doing wrong things. Find a way with which you can balance all your planets. Balance is the key. If you can't balance things, one aspect will go higher, another aspect will go lower. Okay, you will have a good aspect in your career and your family life will go. Then again you will have a good aspect in your family life and your marriage life will fall. Then if your marriage life is there and your spiritual life is fall. The main agenda of astrology is to balance all different kinds of lives. You should be progressing in your life in a manner where your personal life, your marriage life, your family life, the life you are living inside your head, the spiritual life, your career, your friend circle and your social life, okay, everything should go hand in hand and together. Getting my point? So, just to remove biasness, don't be biased towards the Hindu scriptures until and unless you have read all the Shastras and Upanishads. If not all, just understand the meaning behind them, meaning behind the stories. Just look at it. You don't have to be biased towards the Sattva Guna. Okay, if you just be biased towards the Sattva Guna, you will be a sadhu. So what you need is, first of all, erase the bad things in your mind and write new things in your mind, that what you need in your life. What you need is balancing of three gunas. You don't need just sattva guna. You need all three gunas. If there is a situation where there are enemies in your life, and if you be a sattvic person, you would allow that enemy to exploit you in the name of nature. Then you will say, okay, nature will handle them and this or that. But in in reality, the Rajasic person is exploiting the sattvic person. So you are getting exploited. If you be on the sattvic side, Rajasic person is going to exploit you. If you be in the tamasic side, you can fight with the Rajasic person. But on that side, you will the sattvic person is gonna, clash with you. Your reputation will go down because you won't look good being a tamasic person. Okay, so every gun is equally necessary. If you just be on the sattvic side, I am definitely saying this on your face, Rajasic person are going to exploit you. It's not good to just be on the Jupiter side. Okay, all the planets are equally necessary. You should have all the gunas of all planets inside you. You should be a person who is having a characteristics of all planets in yourself, in your mind, in your body. You should have the behavior of Sun when it's necessary. You should have the behavior of Jupiter when it's necessary. You should have the behavior of Mars when it is necessary. These are all the sattvic planets. Yes, you should have their behaviors. But you should also have the behavior of Saturn. You should also have the behavior of Venus. Similarly, you should also have the behavior of Rahu and Ketu. Okay. So now coming to the story of Rahu and Ketu. After we understood that we don't have to be biased towards Rahu and Ketu. They are very good planets. They are here to explain you a lot about yourself, your past life, your upcoming life, and your current life. Ketu is your past life. Rahu is your current life where you are running. Okay. So let's talk about the story of Rahu and Ketu. There was this asur named Swarnabhanu. And this Swarnabhanu was the son of, I guess, Kashyap Rishi's sister and Hiranyakashyap's daughter. Okay, Rishi Kashyap's sister and Hiranyakashyap's daughter. He was the son of those two. Vritsiddhi or something like that was the name of his father, and the name of his mother was somewhat related to lion, I guess. That is why Rahu is also depicted with lion. Okay, Sihika or something like that. So he was the children of these two. And during Amrit Manthan, okay, I told you the story about Amrit Manthan, how Indra used to fight with Bali and the Amrit Kund which Bali stole from Indra, and in the halfway it fell down into ocean. After that, all the Asuras and Devas went to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva said that you all have to try together, help each other out, do Amrit Manthan. Okay, and remove things. And everything will come out from the ocean. All different things. Ravat, Lakshmi, Vish, this, that, and last Amrit would come out. So what happened is, when the Amrit came out, again Devas and Asuras start fighting. And there was a problem. Who would drink first, who would drink afterwards? So Vishnu took the avatar of Mohini. And again, being biased, he started giving all the Devas Amrit. And what happened is, when he was giving Amrit, there was this Swarna Bhanu who got dressed up like a Deva and sat in the line of Devas and drank Amrit. But just because sun and moon are light, okay, they could understand and see Rahu and Ketu, see Swarna Bhanu, that this is not a Deva. And Mohini again took the roop of Vishnu and gave Sudarshan. Through Sudarshan, and he was beheaded. Okay, but before the Sudarshan could be had, he drank the Amrit. Now what happened is, he was cut down in two parts, Rahu and Ketu. But just because he drank Amrit, now he is going to survive. Okay. And first it was decided that everyone is going to get this Amrit. But just because of Swarna Bhanu, now Vishnu said that, see, this is why we were not giving this Amrit to Asuras. He again got a reason. But I don't think that reason was valid. Everyone was gonna get it. Then why to cut someone? Everyone eventually was gonna get it. So that was again a wrong thing. And every wrong thing is punished by nature. No matter whoever does it, no matter it's Vishnu, no matter it's Indra, everyone has suffered punishment. Okay. So again, this Rahu and Ketu, after being beheaded, went to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva said, you are impatient. That is why all these things happen. Otherwise, these things won't be happening. And they also say that, okay, we accept that we were impatient, but now what? We also should be getting the same thing. We were supposed to have it. Why did sun and moon proclaim that we are not Devas and we are Asuras? Asuras were also getting it equally. So what was the problem? So Lord Shiva said, yes, that is right. He also said that sun and moon were wrong. They shouldn't have spoken that thing. Okay, so one thing you learn is, when sun and moon is debilitated, no matter you see the wrong things of this world, you are not supposed to see it loud. Sometimes you don't have to see those things loud, otherwise you are going to suffer, just like sun and moon did. Because after that, Lord Shiva gave a blessing to Rahu and Ketu that in timely interval, you are going to run after sun and moon to take revenge. And in timely interval, you will catch sun and moon. Okay, and that timely intervals is solar and lunar eclipse. Okay, so Rahu is catching sun, Ketu is catching moon. Okay, and on that period, Rahu is hiding all the energies of sun and giving its own energy, and Ketu is hiding all the energy of moon and giving its own energies. This is solar and lunar eclipse. But as our Vedas always wants and prefers and gives more importance to the Devlok rather than Patal Lok, we are given an information that it is very bad to see solar and lunar eclipse. It is very bad to be in solar and lunar eclipse, but we don't know the full story. if your Janma Gana, okay, there is a Gana, okay, whenever you see your Kundi, there is a Gana in there, which shows your tendency. Okay, so if your Gana is Dev Gana, okay, Devta, if your Gana is Devta, then during solar and lunar eclipse, Rahu and Ketu are going to give you bad result. If your Gana is Rakshas Gana, then during solar and lunar eclipse, Rahu and Ketu are going to give you very good result. Okay, and Sun and Moon is going to give you bad result. And if you are a Mano Gana, then you have to see the position of Rahu, Sun, Moon and Ketu. Okay. It is possible that sometimes solar eclipse is giving you good things and lunar eclipse is not giving you good things, and sometimes it's the reverse. But it is very important to see that whether you are born in the Dev Gana, Mano Gana or Rakshas Gana, because that is how you need to follow astrology. If we are born in Dev Gana, you have to follow all the rules of astrology blindly. If you are going to be in Mano Gana, you have to follow half rules of Dev Gana, half rules of astrology, half rules of Brihaspati, half rules of Shukracharya. If you are born in Rakshas Gana, you have to mostly follow the Shukraniti. Okay. So I am saying this all things because there is a lot of biasness in the world, and that is why Rajasic and Tamasic people are having trouble. Because even after following traditional astrology, they are not getting good results. Why? Because traditional astrology is going to give higher benefits to whom? Devgana. Obviously. Because it was invented by Brihaspati, Devtas and the son of Brahmas who were already inclined towards Vishnu. But what we have to do from the knowledge is, we have to balance everything. We have to balance the Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic, all the three gunas. We don't have to blindly increase the Sattvic guna. No. Why do you think you need to increase Jupiter more? No, not at all. Never do that. Okay, if you be a Rajasic person, because that is how many astrologers are exploiting you. Okay, that's a very bad thing. You are being exploited by many astrologers for their self and for their need. See, there are 2 to 3 types of astrologers. I am going to see this loud today. Number 1, those who really want to help you. The sole agenda of such an astrologer is that you don't come back to them. If you come to me as a counselor, okay, you come to me and you have to come back to me within few months for the same problem, then either I am not a good astrologer or I am a selfish person who wants you to come to me again and again so that I can get more and more money out of you. Okay. It is like a bad doctor. A bad doctor won't give you a good medicine at once. He will give you a medicine of lighter dose so that you again come back to him. He again charges you. Then again you go back to him. Then he again charges you. Okay. This is how things happen. So astrologer is equally to a doctor. And the sole intention of a doctor should be to treat a patient in a way that he doesn't come back to you. As a doctor and as an astrologer, you win when your client doesn't return to you. When the client returns to you, it means it is lack of your capacity, lack of your compatibility as an astrologer. See, because being an astrologer is being a troubleshooter. You are a troubleshooter for that person. If the person again comes to you, that means you didn't solve the trouble. Okay, same is with doctor. So your main agenda should be the person you have solved the trouble of should not come back to you with the same trouble. It is your incompetence if he comes back to you with the same trouble, or it is your selfishness. Okay, so these are one kind of astrologer. Second kind of astrologer He would see your chart and see what are the good and bad things about you. And during good and bad dashas of him, he will compare your chart with his own chart. He will see what is a good planet in his chart, what is a good planet in my chart. Okay, then he will ask you to give something and take something and do some barter or anything like that, by that or by which your good luck comes to them and their bad luck goes to you. That are even worse astrologers. Okay, if you find any astrologer like me, if you find astrologer like those, directly contact me. Okay, because see, my soul agenda, okay, my pledge over here to be born over here is to destroy everyone who is using Saraswati for the self and destroying the purity of Saraswati. That is why I am going to speak out everything loud. You would hear everything loud and clear from my mouth. Neither will I exploit, nor I will bloody allow anyone to exploit through the means of knowledge. Saraswati का दुरुपयोग नहीं करवाना. Otherwise, Satan is going to punish you. So my sole intention to give all this astrological knowledge for free is I want to stop people who are exploiting through Saraswati, through knowledge, who want their own benefit, who want the benefit of their self, their family members and their beloveds. Okay, they exploit people from astrological point of view, from planets, from all this different kind of pranic energy exchange and everything. Okay, I am going to condemn everyone who is using Saraswati in a bad way. If you want to attain Saraswati and gain knowledge of higher self, spirituality, you have to do paropkar. If you are not utilizing Saraswati to do paropkar, Satan is going to punish you. If you are using Saraswati to do paropkar, only then you should attain Saraswati and practice astrology. Don't be selfish. So, this is why Rahu and Ketu is equally important. So, the story behind Rahu and Ketu. Now, if you see, Rahu and Ketu is very important. Because for such people who are being exploited, when you are in a bad time of life, Rahu and Ketu gives good result. Okay, when Devas exploit you, when Vishnu is biased towards you, when God is not helping you, at that time Rahu and Ketu are helping you. Okay, they will help you when the God is not helping you. And that is why godly people or Jupiterian people don't like Rahu and Ketu. Okay. Because Rahu and Ketu are nothing but the urges of your soul. Okay. That is why you have taken birth over here. Suppose your Rahu shows what is the urge of your soul. Where are you running? Okay. What do you want in this life? What is your obsession? Okay. And if God is not helping you to attain your obsession, during the Rahu Kal, your Rahu would be more powerful than Sun. And you will be conquering things even which God is not willing to give you. That is why Rahu is good. Even when God doesn't want to give you something, but you have taken birth over here with the urge of a soul to attain that thing, Rahu is going to give you. Okay. Similarly is Ketu. Ketu is your past life. Okay. So wherever Ketu is present, that is what you have already attained and enjoyed in your past life. That is why you are comfortable over there. It is your strength. Okay. It is your knowledge from the past life. Okay. So wherever, it is also your comfort zone. Okay. So whatever the moon god isn't willing to give you, whatever the moon lord is not willing to give you, during the lunar eclipse, Ketu will give you. Okay, so Rahu and Ketu are your destiny planets, your destiny shadow planets, who are going to challenge the vision of gods and give you what your soul is made to take over here on this earth. Okay, it is your own soul demand. The Rahu and Ketu, your demand of the soul. Why have you taken birth over here? I want to accomplish this, and that is why I have taken birth over here. And if even the gods are not allowing me to accomplish this, Rahu and Ketu are going to help you. Okay, so Rahu and Ketu are not always the bad planets. Rahu, in whichever house it is sitting, it is showing that what is the current objective or the purpose of this life for you. Okay, Ketu, wherever it is sitting, it is showing that what is your comfort zone, what you have already learned from your past life. Okay, and see, Ketu is headless, and Rahu is just the head. So even if you see the spectrum wise, okay, all the 7 chakras from violet to red, okay, Rahu is farther away from the red side and Ketu is farther away from the violet side. Okay, so Rahu is kind of infrared and Ketu is kind of ultraviolet. Okay, Rahu is farther away from the red spectrum and Ketu is farther away from the violet spectrum. Okay, Rahu is farther away from the root chakra, Ketu is farther away from the Sahasrara chakra. Okay, that is why if Ketu is over here and Sun is over here, okay, so Sun, which represents the Sahasrara chakra, Ketu is away from that. Over here, the opposite side is root chakra, and Rahu is further away from that. Okay, so it is also showing your capability, their potential. So technically speaking, in the Pranic Vidya, in the Amrit Sanjeevani, Rahu and Ketu is showing the potential difference of your body between which your energy is going to flow. Your prana is going to flow. So your prana is going to flow between Rahu and Ketu. Okay, and until and unless your prana is flowing, you are alive. When your prana is stopped flowing, okay, when that flow is stopped, okay, at that time you die. That is why we see sthir dasha for death. Sthir means steady. When the movement of prana stops, you die. Okay. So until and unless there is equal potential difference between Rahu and Ketu. Okay, you know what is potential difference, right? Just because of potential difference, there is electricity or electric current passing. Similarly, Rahu and Ketu are 2 nodes. Just because of those 2 nodes, if those 2 nodes are properly aligned, your prana is flowing inside your body. Okay, suppose this is your body. Okay, and here there is Rahu and here there is Ketu. So the prana is going to flow from here to there, here to there, until and unless this potential difference is maintained and this prana is flowing, you are not going to die. You are not going to die. So Rahu and Ketu is also giving you sustenance in life. They are not bad planets. It is because of Rahu and Ketu that you are alive. Because it is because of Ketu that is your past life, and because of Rahu that is your current life, you are living this thing. Your past life karma and your current life obsession, that is where in between life is there. Ketu is your past life karma. Rahu is your current life obsession. In between there is life. Okay. So now see where Ketu is placed in your chart, where Rahu is placed in your chart. Wherever Ketu is placed in your chart, it is something which is from your past life. Okay, that is your past life karma. Where Rahu is placed in your life, it is your current life obsession. Why your soul has came here. Okay. Obviously, there is also sun and moon as the meaning of your soul. So between these two things, you are living. Whenever you would finish Ketu and Rahu both, at that time, you have finished the urge of your soul in this life. Okay. If you die before finishing this and this Ketu and Rahu's karma, you would be born with moon in 8th house in your next birth to fulfill your unfulfilled wish. Okay. But if you don't die during that, then you have completed your dashas, you attain everything, and after attaining it, you die. Okay. So there is life between Rahu and Ketu. Very much important, and they are certainly not bad. They are the reason you are alive. What you did in past life and what you are obsessed in this life. Obviously, if you are going to see your soul urges, you also have to see your moon, where your moon is placed, where your sun is placed. Okay, suppose your moon is placed in the 8th house, as I said, then you are over here to fulfill your past birth wish. Okay. If it is placed in your second house or 6th house, you are over here to suffer the things which you did in the past life, and you are also here to attain the blessings of your previous birth. If your moon is in the 3rd house or 11th house, you are over here to build new karmas, do new things, do inventions, or do something new in life. Okay. If your moon is in the Trikon, that is 1, 4, 10, 7 and 9 and 5, then you are still in the chakra of life, the life cycle. You are learning about life. If your moon is in 12th house, then you are over here because you took a pledge. Okay, you are here over here because of some pledge, a promise. You are over here because you took a pledge that I want to do this thing on this earth. That is why I am coming over here. Until you finish this pledge, you are going to be alive. Okay. So obviously you have to see moon this way. Also you have to see the sun. Where is sun? Is sun supporting you? If sun is in a good state, then sun is supporting you. That means God is supporting you to fulfill your desire. If sun is not in a good place, then God is not fulfilling you. No, God is not supporting you to fulfill your desires. Okay. So also you have to see the sun. And then you have to see whether you have to go to Rahu and Ketu or you have to hide from Rahu and Ketu. If sun is not supporting you, if sun is bad, at that time you have to go to Rahu and Ketu and they will give you sustenance. When God is against you, Rahu and Ketu are going to be with you and they are going to give you sustenance in life. Okay, but if sun is good, okay, sun is situated in a good place, then don't go to Rahu and Ketu. Then you have to stay away from Rahu and Ketu because sun is already helping you. Getting my point? This is how you see Rahu and Ketu. Don't just blindly see and tell that Rahu is good, Ketu is good, Rahu is bad, Ketu is bad. No. See about your own purpose in life. See whether God is helping you or not. If God is not helping you, sun is bad, then Rahu and Ketu are always going to help you. If sun is bad and moon is good, okay, then you have to go to Rahu but not Ketu. Okay, if moon is good and if moon is bad and sun is good, then you have to go to Ketu but not Rahu. Okay, so see, when sun is bad, Rahu is gonna help you. When moon is bad, Ketu is gonna help you. When sun and moon both are bad, Rahu and Ketu both are going to help you. But when sun and moon both are good, Rahu and Ketu are going to create obstacles. Okay, at that time, go away from Rahu and Ketu. This happens only when you are born in Devgana. Okay, and you have some good placements of sun and moon at that time. If the person is having good sun, good moon, then you don't have to follow Rahu and Ketu. Okay, sun and moon are definitely going to give you good results in life. But if one of the planets or either sun or moon is not good, at that time you have to rely on Rahu and Ketu more than sun and moon. Okay, at that time the energy of eclipse, the Grahan is good for you. Don't be blinded towards the biasness of Jupiter. Never. Understand Vedas from a point of view that you are over here, not just to be a sattvic person and be a Dev-oriented person. You are over here because nature has given you all the three gunas inside you. You are also the sattva, you are also the rajas, and you are also the tamas. So what you need to do is to attain a balance between sattva, rajas and tamas. If you don't take balance between these three gunas, okay, you would be running away in the Digbal direction. Okay, you will be flowing away with the Digbal, the direction lord. If your direction lord is not good, if you want to channelize your life from your hand, you want to give your life your own direction, at that time you need to balance the sattva, rajas, tamas, all the three guns, and for that you need to balance your Rahu Ketu axis, because this Rahu Ketu axis is what creating a voltage, and that is why you are living doomed. Okay, so this was Rahu and Ketu. I am going to talk more about Rahu and Ketu axis when I am going to take houses, different houses, like Rahu in first house, Ketu in 7th house, and Rahu in second house, and Ketu in 8th house. Okay, I am going to make different videos about it. At that time, we will talk about more about the effects of Rahu and Ketu. What does Rahu do? What does Ketu do? What Rahu does? Good and bad of Ketu. Okay, so we will talk about that later on. Apart from this, if we need to know something more about Rahu and Ketu, see, Rahu is good in the air signs, and Rahu is also good in the 11th house. But Rahu is not good in fire sign, because Rahu doesn't like to get burned. Okay, Rahu is good in the earthly sign.